In this video, we are going to talk about the point slope form of a line. So the point slope form of a line is good for finding an equation of a line when you know the slope of the line and a point that's on the line itself. Okay, so let's take a look at this example here. It says determine an equation of a line through the points 1, 5 and -2, -6. All right, so there are points 1, 5 and -2, -6. So this problem is basically going to have a couple parts. Number one, right, what we are going to do is to find the slope of the line joining those 2 points. All right, and we can do that using the slope formula. Once we find the slope, then we'll have a slope, and actually we'll have 2 points on the line. And so we will use the point slope formula of a line that we just showed on the previous slide. And finally, what we're going to do is write our answer in slope-intercept form. The statement of the problem in the slide here didn't say anything about putting the answer in slope-intercept form, but some of the problems they're going to ask you to do that. So we'll show you how to do that. All right, so write in slope-intercept form. Okay, let's start off with the slope. All right, we want to find the slope of the line that runs through these 2 points, right? And remember, the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, and so what I normally do is I label my points. I label one x1, y1, and I label the other one x2, y2. And it doesn't matter if you label them the other way, that's perfectly fine. All right, and so once I label them, then I can just refer to those points pretty easily. So y2 is -6, and then it's minus, and then y1 is 5. All right, x2 is -2, and x1 is 1. All right, and so then I just simplify that. So -6 minus 5 is -11. -2 minus 1 is -3. All right, and then we have a -11 divided by a -3. That's going to come out to be 11/3. All right, so that's part 1 here. We found the slope of the line that runs through these 2 points. All right, next up is now we are going to get an equation of the line using the point slope form. And remember, that is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, and remember, m is the slope of the line, which we have here. And then x1, y1 is a point on the line, which we have 2 points. And you can actually use either one of these that you like. So, all right, and so next up, then we would just put the numbers that we want in the right places here. So y1 is 5. M, the slope, is 11/3. And x1 is 1. Okay. Okay, and so there we've got an equation of the line. Okay. Like I said, if that's all they're asking for, well, there you go. There's an equation of the line, but there's going to be plenty of times where they're going to ask you to put this in the slope-intercept form. And if you remember, right, from the previous video, the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So solve for y. And this one is not solved for y. Okay, so we are going to put this in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. One of the trickier things about this particular problem is that there is a fraction, 11/3 in here. And so I'm going to show you one way to deal with the fraction, and you don't have to follow my way at all. There's plenty of other ways to do that. But if you don't like dealing with fractions, then what you would do is multiply through both sides by the LCD. Now, if this were a whole number, then it's a lot easier. You don't have to worry about what I'm doing here at all. So the only reason I'm doing what I'm about to show you, right, multiply through by the LCD, is that I want to clear this fraction out and make it easier to deal with. All right. There's only one fraction in this problem, 3, right? And so the LCD of the fractions involved would be a 3. So then the next thing I would do is to multiply both sides by 3. And if you remember back when we were solving rational equations, then we said the reason why we were doing that was to clear the fractions from the equation and make it easier to deal with. So that's exactly the same thing here. So we are multiplying both sides by 3. All right, and now remember, my goal here is to solve for y. Okay, so the first step in solving this equation is going to be to simplify both sides as much as possible. So over on the left side, I'm going to distribute that 3 through the parentheses. So I get 3y minus 15. Over here on the right-hand side, I have 3 times 11 thirds, right? That's just going to come out to be 11. The reason why is I can think of this as 3 over 1 times 11 over 3, right? And so then I've got a common factor of 3 between the numerator and denominator, right? So 3 would go into this factor once, and it would go into this factor once. And then multiplying this would be 1 times 11, which is 11. 1 times 1 is 1. So that would be 11 over 1, which I can just write more simply as just 11, right? So that's what I wind up with over on the right-hand side. And so you can see multiplying through by the LCD did what it was supposed to do. That is clear the fractions from that equation. And so now I can just solve like I would any other linear equation. I do want to simplify this side a little bit more. The left side is as simple as I can get it. Over on the right-hand side, 11 times x is 11x, and 11 times negative 1 will be negative 11. All right, and so now both sides are as simple as I can get it. All right, and so then what we would do is add or use the addition principle, right? And our goal is to get every term with a y on one side, every term without the y on the other side, because we are trying to solve for y. We're trying to put this in slope-intercept form. So the next step then, or one way to do that, right, to get y by itself on one side, is to add 15 to both sides. So over on the left side, I have negative 15 plus 15. So that's going to be 3y. Over on the right side, I have 11x, and then negative 11 plus 15 is a positive 4. All right, so I have every term with a y on the left side, every term without the y on the other side. And so now to get y by itself on both sides, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. But remember, if you've already watched that slope-intercept video, one of the previous videos, then it's better to, for this particular problem, to get the equation of a line in slope-intercept form, it's better to divide every term by 3. And so that would be equivalent. All right, so I divide every term by 3. And so this term, the 3's common factor of 3 would cancel out and leave me with 1y. This 11 thirds would be 11 thirds times x. All right, and this would be 4 thirds, like so. So some people will get a little confused about why 11x over 3 is the same as 11 thirds x. And the reason for that, right, if you write 11x over 3, like so, that is the same as 11 over 3 times x over 1. Why is that? Well, remember, when you multiply two fractions, that's the easiest operation for fractions is multiplication, right? You would just multiply the top. So x times 11 is 11x. 1 times 3 is 3. So these two are exactly the same, right? And then anything divided by 1 is just itself, right? So so I have x divided by 1. You can just write that as just x, like so. All right, and so the reason for doing that is so this, our final answer here matches the y equals mx plus b form exactly, okay? All right, so, and now just to show you, right, how that looks in a geometric sense, so I can graph these 2 points out. Oops. 1, 5 and minus 2, 6. So I already had those graphed out. And our equation is y equals 11 thirds x plus 4 thirds. Right? And you can see that that line goes exactly through those 2 points. So we have found the equation of the line joining those 2 points. Okay. So that is point slope form of a line.